we are going to take just a minute and have them introduce themselves. First of all, my name is Michelle Craddock. I am one of the student ministers at Oak Hills Church, and I get to work with parents. You also see Alethea might chime in a little bit. Alethea Temez, she is our middle school minister, and she works with all of our middle schoolers. And I'm just going to go ahead and take the liberty. And Samuel, would you wave? Just wave, Samuel. You guys know Samuel. He is our high school minister and our young adult minister. And then Selma, go ahead and wave as well. There she is. She's our boss. So she is over the entire family ministry. So we're glad to have all of you guys join us today. But let's go ahead and hand it over to the parents who are going to be interviewed. And we're going to go ahead and start with Charles Groove. Charles, tell us a little bit about yourself and about your kids and your specific family dynamic.
Okay, well, thanks for having us tonight. I am a single father of two wonderful kids, Charlotte, who's a sophomore in high school, and Sam, who is in middle school. He's in 8th grade. And I have my own business in the hospitality industry. I am an advisory to hospitality operators who need support and help and what have you. So I do work from home, and then when called upon, I travel to assist other people as well. I'm blessed to be able to work from home because I get to be with the kids and with everything going on here. And yeah, that's what I do. But we've been a member of Oak Hills Church for about 16, 17 years or so. I've been involved with the student ministry program as a crew leader in both middle school, and I'm just trying to see the kids grow closer to God and be with them as they when they go to college. We'll continue to pray for them, but just be with them as they go in their walk in life with God. So we're very blessed to have you and Alethea and Salma and Sam involved in this, and kind of like reaching out during this particular time to bring parents together and bring our students together on the weekends as well. So great job. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Charles. And next we have Angie Lewis. Angie, tell us about yourself and your children.
Single parent. Lost my husband 5 years ago, so I'm a widow. And I have a 17-year-old daughter, Lainey, who we've been members of Oak Hill Church for 17 years now, since she was a baby, really. And we are, we're just getting to know each other again. It's family dynamics. I actually have a few, and I apologize because I'm on my phone, but I keep getting text messages. So we, family dynamics, I actually have 3 stepdaughters. I have 2 son-in-laws and 2 grandchildren. And they're all awesome. I have such a great family, and all supportive and continue to be a crucial part of my life and Lainey's life. And I work for a local community bank here in San Antonio. It's been awesome. Was in finance for about 15 years and then left and went to teach kids with special needs for 3 years, which was amazing and really just gave me a break away from the craziness of being in finance for so long. But then was blessed to come back into this business, and it's been really mass chaos over the last 2 weeks. But God has been really good in giving me a lot of wisdom and discernment to help people stay in business and provide them with opportunities to go after some of the funding that the government has made available to them. And so I've just heard so many great stories through what's happened, and that's just through being a part of this institution. So staying at home with my beautiful daughter, who doesn't want to have anything to do with me, and in a time where we have to do things with each other. So it's been interesting trying to get creative with that. So that's it.
Thank you, Angie. Kevin and Tara, tell us about yourself and your family.
Well, how's everybody doing? I'm Tara, and Kevin, and I'm the executive director of an assisted living community. So my work keeps on going. I'm one of those frontline healthcare workers that I know there are a lot of people out there who are nurses and working still, and it's an interesting dynamic going on for me right now from a psychological perspective, because we've got children, we're a blended family, but our two youngest are still home. Then we have our oldest, who's 32, and she's expecting in like 3 weeks, gonna deliver a baby. So our whole dynamic is very interesting right now. So we have 11-year-old twins, Luke and Eliana, and so they're in 5th grade, and juggling them at home, mandatory to be home, me going to work, and Kevin, recently, you can tell them about what you do.
Okay. Hi, everybody. So I've been in branding and marketing for a long time, and I'm the Vice President of Marketing and Sales for a national data analytics company. And so segueing from what Tara was saying, I've had the unique opportunity to be the homeschool teacher for my twins for the past week or so. And that came as a consequence of being furloughed from work a week ago. And so one of the topics that we will end up talking about is the living in this circumstance with the uncertainty of work, what that can mean to a family and to an individual. But we've been the members of the church for 15 years, usually blessed by it. And several years ago, we were involved in the middle school program, and now we're getting back involved at this point. Twins moving into getting through Agape Trail and moving into the next level. So it's great. We love the student ministries, and with Selma and Michelle, and we've just been really blessed by it.
Thanks, Bobes. Now, next, Amy and Eric Payne. Tell us about yourselves, what you do, and your family.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Michelle, Selma, for putting this on, and everyone coming together. It's an encouragement just to be a part of it. Sweetheart, do you want to start?
Oh, sure. So I'm Eric Payne. I work as an account executive for a large global defense contractor. So in some ways, this is a little bit of a blessing. So my travel schedule has been curtailed significantly, so I get to spend more time with my family. But I guess there's a flip side to that too, as we're all stepping all over each other day by day. It's interesting when you have 4 simultaneous Zoom sessions going on, her business, my business, and each of the kids with their Zoom sessions going on, doing distance learning for school. But so I guess if you kind of take this as a glass half full opportunity for all of us to spend additional time together and grow together, it is a blessing. So I guess if you keep that attitude in mind, we can all get through this.
And my name's Amy. I'm the president of Child and Family Solutions. It's a consulting company that I started, oh my goodness, 16 years ago. I'm also the founder and inventor of a comfort object for children when they're overwhelmed and hurting, and it's called Ouchie Wrap. So I work from home, and sometimes I'm on phone calls, sometimes I'm on Zoom, sometimes I'm calling people in Korea or Abu Dhabi, and I just and meanwhile, we have 6 people under one roof, which I know is not unfamiliar for many of you with children, but I think what makes it a little unique for us anyways recently is that we have taken in my late sister's daughter and her infant son. Actually, he's almost a toddler now. I guess he is beginning toddlerhood. So in any event, we have 2 different families under one roof, and having to be all together all the time certainly makes us focus on the boundaries and whether and how and when we can permeate them together in a way that is safe and comfortable for everyone. And I'd like to tell you that it isn't always. Just briefly, we've got ups, we've got downs, and we've got meltdowns. Sometimes those are from mommy. So we are leaning on God deeply, and so grateful for his grace.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks for that introduction. If you guys, real quick, if you just got on, make sure that you pull up your chat screen at the bottom of the Zoom screen, and you can answer or ask any questions that you want throughout. And at the end of our time together, we'll do our best to see what we can answer and all that. so I guess my first question is, it's an easy question. Each of you, could you each give me just a 1 minute, like what does a typical weekday look like now for each of you? Charles, you start.
Yeah. So, with this, you're not prepared. And, relating to what Travis mentioned in the service on Sunday, we weren't prepared, but God's got a plan, and his plan is good. And we just need to pray and understand exactly what that is. So as a parent and a leader, guess what? Because you're not prepared, you put together a plan. You put together what you want to accomplish and how you're going to do it in the period of time that you have. And with the kids, and just know that they're not quite sure what's going on. Why can't we go to volleyball practice, and why can't we go to that volleyball tournament? Well, because we have no control of it. Those decisions are made from people above us. Understanding the severity of this, people are dying, and so always having communication with them to explain to them, and so they understand. Hey, this is what's going on in New York. This is what's going on in San Antonio. This is what's going on. And with that, you need to understand that, it's affecting individuals, it's affecting families, and so on and so forth. So talking about that, and then having a game plan with lessons online, making sure it's done, having a break, and then going out and doing something, getting outside, getting some sun, sitting on the patio. We have this book at home, and it's called the Book of Questions, where we'll sit on the patio and we just ask each other a question, funny questions, serious questions, and we just talk about it. So there needs to be some levity going on in the house as well, and not so strict and not so solid guidelines to go through.
And it's hard. That's hard when you just want to be like, let's just get it done.
Yeah.
Right.
And then knowing that you need to be as patient and as a parent, and then with that, try to come up with some suggestions so that they buy in. They have to buy in because they're here. And so, we cook together, say, hey, what do you guys want to make tonight? And we'll spend some time cooking, and then we'll spend some time eating, and then we'll pray, and then, we'll put the dishes away, and then we'll go into the next thing. So just being creative around the home and what we can do. Play basketball, play catch, we play cards, we watch movies, just, having a balance, having a good balance, and keeping God at the center of our lives, knowing that there's going to be an end to this, but God's got a plan, and pray and just know that His grace is going to be with us. I make it sound easy, but it's not. But to get them to buy in, you got to get them to buy in, and once they buy in, things kind of like go as planned.
Yeah. Angie, what about you? Tell us in just 1 minute, what does your typical weekday look like with Lainey?
It is quite the opposite. I have to force myself to literally stop with work just because there's so much coming through on phone calls and emails. Like, it's just nonstop. And there is that really thin line between wanting to help the community and wanting to put your family first. Mm-hmm. And that's really hard right now because it's chaos. But our typical week, typically my time stops on the computer and taking phone calls around 6 o'clock. We'll have dinner together. If it's nice, we try to eat outside on the porch, and just, typical conversations. But, we popped out the Wii the other day. We haven't used the Wii in forever. And it was her idea. She wanted to do Just Dance. And so we were able to get in some exercise. We try to walk in the evening time when the weather is nice. But if it's not, we kind of do what Charles does. Popped in a movie. We have conversations. We play games, card games. Had my stepdaughter and her husband over the other day. We played a bunch of card games and cooked together, and we're just trying to use it as an opportunity to connect in the best way that we possibly can, because it is hard. And I'm opposite in that I'm not very structured. It is definitely a place for opportunity for me. So
that's good. That's good. Kevin and Tara, how about you guys? What does a typical weekday look like now?
Well, I roll out of bed at about 11, and And Tara's been at work for 4 hours already, and the twins have already done all their schoolwork, and they've made lunch, and they're cleaning the house. It's really great. Just love it. But the truth is that I get up anywhere between 4 and 5 usually, and I'm in the Word for a good solid hour, and then I start preparing the schoolwork. I have to learn it a little bit first and prepare it and organize it so that they can handle it, that the twins can handle it. I make Tara a cup of coffee every morning before she goes to work. And so, and then she works super hard, and it's incredibly stressful. So it can be stressful for her. But then she gets home, and we walk the dog, we eat dinner together, and then we collapse.
Well, yeah,
Is that enough?
that's good. The latest thing that's been happening that's really important is badminton without a net and using the line on the driveway.
Awesome.
Seriously, with broken badminton nets, with broken badminton sticks, and a broken birdie, and we play badminton on the driveway and have a great time. So that's like
Extra challenging.
that's my after school, my after work activity has been badminton. But I think that, yeah, I mean, I think that Kevin's tried to create a somewhat of a routine that makes sense, but like all of that's changing starting tomorrow because just the dynamics keep shifting. So
Yeah.
we're still figuring it out.
Yeah. Eric and Amy, what about you guys? What's a typical day look like now?
Well, it's definitely different than it used to be. I wake up earlier than anyone else because I want to make sure I get my devotions done and have a cup of coffee before it's like, and let's go for it. Sometimes it doesn't always work, but that's the plan. That's typically how it was anyways. But now when we start, my kids, I've got 2 9-year-olds, so 9-year-old twins, and they have to be on camera by 8 a.m. with their class 2 days a week. So I whipped up a schedule on a dry erase board, which I created with them and asked them, and this was last week, but like you all just said, things keep changing. So last week there really weren't many assignments, but this week there are, and this week we have times to be on camera as well with their Zooms. So just trying to figure out the schedule. That's how we start the day. And then I get them set up. They know they've got to eat breakfast and be on camera and get their schoolwork going. And I asked, do you have any questions? Let's look at what we're going to tackle today. Let's look at the board. They know they need to check in with me if they have questions, etc. Sometimes I'm not available for a few minutes. I might do one of these, but there's a lot of in and out. There's a lot of in and out because I work from home. And do you want to add to that?
No, I get out about 15 minutes after Amy does. Hopefully she's got coffee going.
It's hours later.
And typically we try to spend some quality time together in the morning as a family. If we can eat breakfast together, that happens most of the time, which is a good thing. And we can do devotions together typically.
Yeah, because he's in town now. Yay!
So that's pretty awesome. And then I typically head up to the office, and the phone calls usually start pretty much immediately in the morning and continue throughout the day. So
the coolest thing is that's been different for us is that Daddy traveled many weeks, Monday through Friday, Tuesday to Friday. We weren't really with him, and now I get weepy. Now that he's here, and we also have another family here, there's a lot more talking, there's a lot more togetherness, but we are having so much fun in the evenings because it's like you have to get out. So badminton, did you say that, Tara? We're doing that too. We're doing backyard badminton and soccer, and I made up a game, bubble tag, which the kids love, and that's good for any age. As long as they can blow, you can play bubble tag. So it's been fun. Yeah.
Lizard hunts.
Oh, lizard hunts are good. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now, will you guys like collect the lizards with them, or is that like
yes,
off activity for me?
Yeah, they'll let them bite your finger and you.
Well, I want to ask you all one more kind of lighthearted question before I ask us to get a little bit more real and deep. Not that you're not being real right now, but to be a little bit deeper, what do your weekends look like now? Because if you're like the rest of us, which I know that everybody here can relate, is you wake up on Saturday and you're like, okay, it's the same thing, minus the work. So Charles, why don't you tell us what do your weekends look like now?
Okay, so they haven't changed a whole lot. You know, they're teenagers, so guess what? They're letting you know 2 days in advance that they're going to sleep until 11 o'clock. Okay, on Saturday.
Yeah.
Fine, but no, I usually pull them up. I work with the Hill Country Daily Bread Ministry, and I'll go to HEB or Walmart and pick up, you know, food supplies and take them there. And I usually try to grab one of them to go with me. And if they do, you know, we go to Whataburger, we grab a breakfast sandwich, and we have some time together. So they help to minister with me to go. We get back, you know, we're knocking out a breakfast.
Okay, wait, hold on, Charles. I'm going to interrupt you because I'm going to ask a question that I know when you said that they, you know, that Sam and Charlotte will minister with you. In my mind, I'm trying to picture my boys being like, yes, we're, you know, and they're church staff kids. So you think they would, you know, be happy to minister all the time, but that's not always the case. So just tell me a little bit about how that dynamic happens when you're asking them, hey, we're going to do this on the weekend. How do they respond?
Okay. So at first they say, we have to get up that early. I go, yes, you know, it's part of it. I go, you're going to enjoy it because you know what? When you really think about what we're doing, there are hundreds of families and kids who are going to be benefiting from what we do. We go and we load the vehicle up with soon to expire bread and meat and dairy products from HEB. We load them up and we take them to Hill Country Daily Bread Ministries, and we put them in the cooler and what have you. So from there, they can see and understand that in a day or so, there are going to be families and kids their age who are going to be benefiting from your work and what have you. And we are so blessed to have what we have now. And you need to always remember that we are blessed. That
they usually enjoy it, right?
Yes, you're helping others. You're helping families. You're helping kids your age. And you know, there's a thing that I have to say with them. You know, they go to public schools here at school and here in town, and I'll say, you know, Charlotte, there's in your math class or your chemistry class, there's 5 or 6 people there who probably go to bed without a dinner. And you just don't know that. They don't talk about it. You don't talk about it. You just don't know that. So you are helping people, a long line of people. You just don't know it. So you have to engage with them to help them understand what they're doing. So that's the ministry. And so when I have one-on-one time with them to talk about it when we're driving in the car, what have you, that's, you know, it's very helpful to them, and they get it. You can see it just sinking down into them.
Yeah.
And they take it to the next level when they get older. So.
That's good. Now on Sunday mornings, how does that look?
So thankfully for y'all, you know, you're still having, if you will, you're having a student ministry with Sam. So Sam will grab the laptop. So he's middle school. He'll grab the laptop and go to the kitchen, and he'll watch the 11:30 service, and then Charlotte and I will watch Travis at the 11:30 service as well. I really try to get her to watch the earlier one as well, because I watch both of them, because you know, I enjoy I miss the worship, and she does too, and so I try to get her to do that. But we see a service 11:30. We participate, and you know, with the we have a cracker and our cranberry juice, as you will, and we engage in the prayer that Travis offers. So we engage in what we are hearing, and just let that stuff sink in. It really works. It's not that Oak Hills Church offers that for their members to do. So so we participate that, and then we do stuff. We got Rachel the dog, right? We go out walking, and there's just a lot of things that we do to keep busy, because the weekends is the time to build and pray and just enjoy ourselves.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. At a little slower pace.
Yeah, we certainly take advantage of it.
Yeah. Angie, what about you guys? Oh, hold on. You're muted. Let me unmute you. Okay, there you go.
Yeah. So Saturday, I don't know if it's changed too terribly much, but you know, Saturdays is typically our get things done around the house day and grocery shopping day. But I guess in a way that it's kind of changed for us is that we're probably more alert on looking for opportunities to help other people right now. You know, one of the, obviously because it is my story as a widow, but and single person, just looking for opportunities to help other single people. And, you know, Lainey and I both have been really blessed to have some just fantastic friends, both from our small group studies to our time helping out with student ministries and just neighborhood, just, I don't know, God's just so good to us. And so looking for opportunities to help other people. So when we're out shopping, you know, we're letting people know, hey, we're out. Do you need something? And so just making sure that we're being the hands and feet of Jesus to other people when we're doing kind of our day-to-day stuff. It typically always is breakfast in the morning. And then, you know, if the weather is nice, we'll do something. We'll cook together and do dinner outside or whatever works for us. So we're pretty flexible on Saturdays. Sundays is church time. You know, we're pretty adamant about getting up in the morning. We have our coffee together, breakfast together, and we watch Travis in the morning time at 9:30. And so that's been really awesome. And then also just trying to find, you know, we use right now media quite a bit. I've just found it to be just a fantastic resource because there's something for somebody. It doesn't matter what it is. There's something for someone. So just finding things that are interesting to both she and I, and just trying to listen to those series, spending some time together in prayer, making sure that we're doing our worship time, and then just relaxing and really treating the Sabbath day like it's a Sabbath day, because although we're at home all day, Monday through Friday, we're at home and we're not relaxing. And so really just trying to make sure that we are, we're treating it like it's the Sabbath and we're relaxing. So we try to make the weekends pretty easy peasy.
And it's easy to do that now.
Yeah, it is. And I don't know, it's nice. You know, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but it is truly perspective. You know, whereas a lot of people are struggling right now, we really just have found that it's almost been reviving to our family to be able to be forced to have this time. And we're just trying to take advantage of it to the best that we possibly can.
Yeah, that's good. Thanks, Angie.
Mm-hmm.
Amy and Eric, what about you guys?
Well, some of the things stay the same, but others are different, right? So, you know, we wake up, we have a big breakfast. Our kids have to earn their media privilege, and Saturday mornings are a big one to do that for them, right? So they get all their chores done. So it's a big day, just like you said, Angie, it's a day for us to kind of get things done around the house, and we do a lot of that together. But we have a big breakfast later on Saturdays, and there's a lot of playing after our chores are done. So that's good. We were one of those families, and everybody on the block knew it, that went skiing over spring break.
Oh.
We're one of those Summit County families, so people don't really want us getting anything for them right now. They definitely don't want us baking for them. They don't want us to pick up groceries for them. In fact, people have literally seen me across the street and said, "You stay there." No, we're fine. I'm turning red, you know, but it's true.
They issued a quarantine order, and the day after we left, they closed all the ski areas. There were so many cases. So
we had been skiing, and everybody knew it, and so it's kind of like, please don't come around here. We love you, but just stay away. So what we did last weekend, we actually started it on Friday, was I talked with the kids about, you know, what we can't do those kinds of things to help others right now, but what can we do? And my stepmom, actually, who is recovering from cancer, a tumor came back. So this past weekend, I called my seamstress for Ouchie Wrap, and I asked if there's any way she could make masks for my stepmom, because there aren't any, and she's in New York. So we put together packages, and the kids made cards, and just get well soon. And then my half-sister, she just had a baby recently, and so we put together things that we had for little kids around the house to make her a special package. And so that's how the kids could be involved, and that's what we did. But it is challenging because still we're here. It's a little bit Groundhog Day. We're in the house still. Yeah. So, but we try to come up with fun things. One thing I did want to share with people, because I don't know whether there's anyone on who might have younger kids like we do. And actually it's funny because I feel like mine are older because they're 9, you know. But I kind of helped raise the first set of my late sister's kids when they were itty bitty, and that was 20 years ago. So in any event, one thing that we do every weekend, and it stayed the same throughout COVID-19, is we make a big list of gotas and wanas. You want to talk about that, honey?
Yeah, essentially we have our chore list. You got to take out the trash, you got to mow the lawn, you got to clean up your room, you got to do the laundry, and then everybody gets to pick a wana. So I want to go for a mountain bike ride. Kids want to get a little bit of tablet time, or we all want to have a family movie together, or we want to get ice cream or something to that effect. So
drive-through only.
Yeah, drive-through only. Delivery. So.
That's kind of what and then on Sundays, will you tell them about what the kids did? We ran out of crackers and how Cameron set up with communion.
Oh yeah, we used Dixie cups with apple juice and wheat thins, and set up for each member of the family.
But last week we ran out, so they set out goldfish instead.
It's apropos to the fish.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing, you guys. Kevin and Tara, what do weekends look like for you?
Well, we had something unusual happen, is that the day before all of the stay-at-home orders were issued, we had our garage project start, where they were converting our garage and taking down all the cabinets and putting putting the flooring in and all the rest of it. So what that meant is we had 15 years worth of stuff that we had to get out of the garage and into a trailer. And now, what day is today? I don't know what day it is. Anyway, so this weekend we've been putting everything back in the nice new garage. So that's been our weekends. Work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, it's interesting to hear so many families have similar patterns of behavior, because like we're definitely the Saturday morning chore, list of things that the kids need to do, participate in terms of cleaning the house. And I don't know if any other moms can relate to this right now, but I like things to be kind of in its place and neat, tidy, and clean for the most part. Like that just makes me feel happy. It's my happy place. So it's really hard because everyone's at home all the time and making messes all the time. And I gave up that issue a long time ago, but I just realized yesterday I was grouchy, and it was because I was like, what are all those little tiny pieces of paper all over the whole entire house and floor and stairs, and travels here and there? Is there no end to all these little pieces of things all over the place? It's like, no, there's no end to it, because there's the people are in the house all the time, making messes all the time. So I realized, I was like, wow, this is what's happened. It's because everyone's always here at the house. Yeah. So I'd have moments when I could clean, and now I'm like, that's not happening. So, but we like to do the Sunday morning worship together as a family, and we did. I'm going to give you guys a little something. So Sunday we drove to a place called Willow City Loop. If you haven't heard of it, write it down. It's called Willow City Loop. It's in Fredericksburg. It's about an hour-and-a-half drive from from Bernie area. And right now is when all the wildflowers are in bloom. It's a 13-mile drive. You don't have to get out of the car, but a lot of people do, to take pictures in the flowers. It's free, it's easy, and it's a little day trip. Quick, little, easy place to take it. We did that on Sunday.
That's good. Thanks for that. Eric and Amy, your tip was the Gotta and Wanna list, right? Okay, so Gotta and Wanna list, and the Willow City Loop, right? Willow City Loop, that's right.
Yep, Willow
City Loop. Okay, so my next question is, and I'm going to ask the panelists to maybe not so much focus on your children for this this question, but yourself as parents, because I think all of us at some point up until now, since this quarantine stuff has started, we wake up with either in the middle of the night or in the morning, or maybe we don't go to sleep at all, but with some kind of heaviness. There's a stress. You can talk about what that stress is. You can or not talk about what the stress is, but talk about that. But then also how has that, I guess, how has that impacted you? How are you dealing with that? Whether that's, you're exercising or whatever it might be. But every single one of us as parents, I think we wake up with a heaviness or maybe not a worry, but a concern throughout this time. So talk about that with me if you can, and if you don't, and everybody who's watching, they have all rights to say, I don't want to answer that question. So just so everybody knows, Charles, if you want to.
Yeah. So obviously, there's just so many things going on that is different from our normal everyday lives right now. And as I think about I have 7 brothers and sisters out there, right? And so I'm thinking about their well-being and how can I help them or impact them. So communicating with them is huge, and making sure that they're okay and relaying to them that we're okay. Being able to help others and kind of like feeling like, okay, now there's a barrier to be able to go get in the car and go drive over to help others, whatever, to have things going on like that. That's kind of like that's like, I question myself, how can I do that? What do I do? And so because I don't have an answer, I just kind of like shut that down.
Yeah.
When I become stressed or agitated or tense, I love to cook. So I spend my time in the kitchen and I just create and just do stuff there. I do a lot of day trading. And so there's a lot of tension in the world these days with the market and what have you. It's a buyer's market right now. If you have money available to invest in the market, now is the time to watch it, monitor it, study it, and invest. And so I do that, and I look at that, and so that takes a lot of time away from things. And then I pray. I have a little warm room in the back, and it's in the closet, and it's this little warm room I go to, and that's just like, I just give it to God. I trust you. I know we have a plan here. Take it. It's yours. And I walk out of there, and I'm different. I'm new. And then conveying to the kids the importance or the urgency in what's going on. That they think they're superhuman. They're 14 and 16. They think, come on, why am I going to wash my hands again? What am I? They're just thinking they're superhuman. It's not going to affect them. It's not. So conveying that to them and getting them into a pattern of being healthy, being clean, and making good decisions in that, because we're being asked to by our leadership of the country and what have you. Getting that across to them is difficult. And then of course going over, I like to every day at least let them review exactly what happened in the day with the coronavirus, what took place. How many more people how many more people were sick, how many have passed away, and think of the impact that that's having on families and individuals. We're not feeling that because we're kind of like in our home. Think about that. Let's pray for this. Let's pray for this. Let's continue to pray for those individuals who are sick, who are getting sicker, and who are losing family members.
Yeah. Angie and Charles, you can speak to this also, but I'm going to kind of direct this. I'm going to change directions a little bit on this question. Angie and Charles, as single parents, I would assume that this, parenting by yourself through this, that has to weigh heavy. Mm-hmm. How do you deal with that side of it as a single parent?
So I don't know if Charles wants to speak, but I'll definitely go. It's actually one of the things that I was going to say that kind of keeps me up at night, and that is, am I doing it right? Because I don't have that person next to me, and I don't have that person that she goes to, and so I'm really mom and I'm dad, and so the question for me always that keeps me up at night is, am I doing it right? And I know that is something that I have to constantly give to God, that I have to entrust him with, and remind myself that he belongs to her first before me, and that that any decision that I make, as long as it is a prayerful decision, that I'm going to him first, will be okay, even if it's wrong at the time. Even if it feels like it's wrong, it will be fine. And that's probably the biggest thing that keeps me up at night is, you know, I'm mom and I'm dad. And the other piece of that is, you know, she's my daughter's 17. And so, you know, I never before probably even thought twice about this, but how important it is for a 17-year-old young woman, to have a great male role model in her life. And that is definitely something that lacks with my daughter. And I've been very prayerful about that for a long time, but God has not answered that prayer, or if he has, he's answered in a different way that I haven't seen. And so it's given me a different perspective about how important it is to just be not that, you know, I served in student ministries for years, right? And I'm only now understanding the impact of serving those young women that didn't have maybe a constant mom in their life, or they were adopted, or man, so many different stories that I've heard, so many different things, and I'm experiencing that right now, but just not, you know, not having male figures in their life. And now I'm experiencing that with my own daughter. And so just trying to make sure that I'm being prayerful about how I navigate not only what I do and how I parent, but who I put her in front of, because it's scary. So that's mine.
Angie, and I'm going to ask you this question. I want you to answer. Just take 1 minute to answer it. And then I want to ask Kevin and Tara and Eric and Amy to answer. And side note, again, remember, anybody, if you have questions or even comments, put them over in the chat and we can address them. We'll start wrapping this up pretty shortly. But Angie, you said, and this is something that is for all parents, but specifically for single parents, you said you have to constantly give her to God, give her up to God. Tell me what that actually looks like. Because we probably have to do it minute by minute, but what is that like?
So for me, you know, one of the best things, I love my mother and father. They have been really just steadfast in my life. I'm so grateful that I was brought up as a believer and within the church. But you know, I got to a certain point in my life as a teenager where my mom and dad basically said, we've raised you, we've given you all the tools that you could possibly have. It's really up to you right now to make your choices. And I have found myself in that season of my life where I literally have had to say, you know what's right, you know what's wrong, you've been in the Word, you've been a part of youth group before, you have great friends and great family. Now it's your choice. And that's hard because I'm a control freak, type A personality, and I want to control everything with her. And this is just a season of my life where I have to let her make her own choices, and I have to let her experience the consequences of those choices, whether they be good or bad. And so what that looks like for me when I say letting go is I literally every single day get on my knees and I say, I just have to give her back to you, God, because it's just that human nature for me to want to take her back and to want to control things and want to, you know, so trying to be wise and discerning in the things that I tell her, what I say to her, how I encourage her, and making sure that the words that come out of my mouth are encouraging, and that my actions match what I teach constantly. And that's most important. And I feel with all of my heart and all of my soul that, you know, God loves her and has her wrapped around his arms. And I don't question that. And I, you know, I'm so grateful that I don't question that, and that there's this complete peace that he's given me about where he will take her moving forward. And so that's what it looks like. I just pray about it every single day.
That's good. Thanks, Angie. Kevin and Tara, I'm going to kind of go back to the first way I phrased the question for you guys. But you guys have that stress of the job uncertainty. And then Tara, I would even say that you probably are like, but I want to be at home, and I want to be at home with my kids and walking through this time with them, or maybe not. But you know what I mean? Like there's those different dynamics with you guys. Talk to us a little bit about how you're handling this new stress that's kind of shown up.
Yeah, well, the thing that I was thinking about, I was struggling with your initial question about what you stay up with, like thinking about, and then it dawned on me that the biggest stressor that I've been experiencing is the massive responsibility of all the residents that live in the community that I oversee, and the employees, and also leading them, so to speak, in terms of with the spirit of optimism and encouragement and hope. And then and so just that's been my biggest prayer. I mean, we pray together, we pray collectively for our children who are remote and not here, our children in the home. But I'm praying all the time for the property and just a bubble around the whole community, each resident, each of my team members who are coming back and forth to work every day, that their homes and households. And so that's probably the biggest thing in terms of like
yeah.
And you're right, there is a sense of like, wow, and it is a huge amount that Kevin has taken on. We've walked a lot with our Goldens in the evening after I get home to just decompress and have a chance for he and I to connect when we're not away from the children.
Yeah.
And kind of just walking through out loud with our voice, talking to God about, wow, Lord, this is a really unique circumstance, and not having, the income and, that happening, and where are you and what are you doing in this moment in our lives? Because God is in control of all of this. I mean, we are so utterly certain that this is all under control. So, so I wrote what/why, and then it's just, well, God is in it. God is in it, how he's going to reveal himself to us in this moment in time. He has me where he wants me to be, whether I like it or not, he does. And he has Kevin where he wanted Kevin to be, and being in the role and what he's doing right now. And he'll guide us through kind of what the next steps are going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe in miracles, right? And so I feel like this is what is actually occurring in our family right now. Michelle knows that Tara and I were teaching a class called Hold On to Your Kids. And so it really got us back into the idea of being closer to our children so they would be attached to us. And so during this time, last week when I was told I was on furlough, it instantly gave me a huge amount of time to be with the children. And I think that's a miracle of sorts, because who else would be with them at this time? God had prepared us for this, so now that's what I've been doing. And so it's a great blessing to do that. Every once in a while, I would tell Terry, every once in a while I have to deal with, okay, when is work going to start again? But it's very brief. Those moments of wonder and questioning are so brief, and that's also a great blessing. I'm not worried about any of that. I truly am not worried about it. And God's given me a great peace that really is beyond all understanding. And it's a great blessing.
Thank you, Kevin and Tara. Thank you, guys. Eric and Amy, what about you guys?
Start?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
I guess most of my worries, which we shouldn't have,
But we're real.
We're
So
real.
we do.
We're people. So center around, I guess they're mostly work related. When you're trying to meet a P&L for the folks, the profit and loss statement, you have targets, and at the end of those targets, if you don't meet those targets, there's people on the other end of that we have hundreds of employees that are attached to the dollars that you're supposed to be bringing into the organization. And if that doesn't happen, those folks, much like a furlough in this case, or they're out of work permanently. So that stresses, and that's a big stressor in life. And I'm pondering on, and constantly pondering on, what's going to happen. What's going to happen? I have to just take a step back, and God's just saying, "Hey, dude, I am." So
Yeah.
I got this. So you just have to kind of take that to heart, and it takes iterations on that, because it comes back. You're going to worry, and then it comes back, and so you got to pray, and then, all right, okay, God, you got it. So it's just a constant process, I guess, getting through. And I started the introduction saying the glass is half full, but at the beginning of the week, I'd say we were pretty stressed.
Oh yes.
And
Yeah.
first week of quarantine, the whole family the stress was showing. We were snipping at each other, we were nipping at each other, and it finally took a catharsis of a little bit of yelling between people for us to sit down and just have
Which
a
is
talk.
not a recommended
It's not
strategy.
a recommended strategy. It just came to my head, but we're real.
We lost it for a minute. We did.
But we just kind of sat at the dinner table and talked as a family on what was going wrong, and what could we do to improve on the situation. And a thing that struck me, my daughter said, "Daddy, why do you work so much? Why don't you just go push me on the swing?" And I said, "Okay, all right." Okay, we can take a step back here. We all have to relax. We all have needs, and we all need our needs met. And the stress of the situation is a blessing in disguise. So let's take a step back and love on each other and go from there.
Yeah, that's good.
And that next morning, actually, one of my big stressors, I had two really, but really was Eric and me, to be honest with you. Just the stress of inviting my late sister's daughter, my niece, and my great nephew to come live with us, in January, and then all of this happened, and now it's just it was really wearing on us as a couple, and on our marriage. And so that night that happened, and the irony is who brought that to the table, but in a game form, but it was my niece. So it's not to say that everything's perfect or anything like that, but we're doing the best we can. We all are. And that next morning, Eric and I sat down and had coffee, and I will tell you the tears were flowing because there was just so much. There's just so heavy. There's so much. And but when I think about what keeps me up at night, it was Ida and Grayson, and it was like you're saying, as parents, how do we, whether we're single parents or married, what are we teaching our children? And we just felt like, even though this is super, super difficult, and now with the two families under the roof and all of that, and at large, children and families at large, which is what I do for a living, I help take care of them in a way. What am I showing, or how are we modeling Christ's love? We're not doing it perfectly, that's for sure. But we're really, how are we showing our own children and my niece and her nephew, like, we've got you. This is not easy. It's not perfect. And there are a lot of differences and things that have to be worked out still daily. And so it's like parenting yet another set of kids. But, God, for some reason, called us to do this at this time. And through him, we can do it. We can do it. So how does it impact us? What do we do? Exercise daily, because otherwise I will go crazy. I'm sort of a highly pumped, energetic person anyways. So I have exercise. And I have this incredible group of friends, and I even saw that one of them was on here earlier, and they're sharing ideas with me. I'm sharing ideas with them. We even set up a Zoom call this weekend because, frankly, we needed to be okay with being real, and some crying and laughing and joking and saying, I need help, and when is this going to end? And this stinks, and God's in control, but can I just be real about it? I just want to tell you that I'm not always, life is going to be awesome. Sometimes it's like, Lord, help me. So that deep dependence, open our eyes, open our ears, open our hearts, God. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you every day.
Yeah. Well, you guys, thank you, all of you, for being real and honest in that question. I kind of was all over the place with it, but I think God was unpacking it for each, because you guys each have a different dynamic and a different story to tell. And I think you guys answered that in a really good way. So thank you. Thanks for being vulnerable in that question. I appreciate it. And I know everybody else does. Before we get off, I want to run through, and Alethea, if I miss any questions or comments, just let me know, but I'm going to just go through this chat really quick and see if there's anything that we need to speak to, unless you guys need to hop off.
No, we have the baby.
Yeah. Yes. Well, and we're just going to be a few minutes longer. We won't keep everybody too late. But Chad said, Charles, if you want to speak to this just very briefly, Chad said, as a single dad to 6 and 4 year old boys, I have the same concern with them growing up in this point of their life without a mother figure. And Angie, you could even speak to that too. Just some words of encouragement to Chad.
So we're not perfect, and I'm not perfect. And as Angie said earlier, I question if what I'm doing is the right thing. And I pray about it, and I just know that I want to be the best father to my kids as I possibly can. And in doing that, I have to lean into him and ask and wait for the message, and then go deliver to the kids. So having the best answer and having the right answer are different when I have a 16-year-old girl who's wanting something, and the same thing with a 14-year-old boy. I just have to trust myself and trust him that what I'm saying and what I'm doing, being a role model and knowing that I'm always being looked at by them, is that I'm doing right and I'm doing the best I can. And hopefully they're going to ask questions if they can't get it or figure it out. And then I, in return, ask questions. Do you understand? Do you get it? What's missing? How can I help?
Yeah.
Are you okay? All those, continuously doing that, even though they look perfect and they're all in their own little world. They're not ready for what's coming about them, and especially with what's going on here. So asking the right questions and being engaged and being there for them is just so important. And if they know that you're there for them and that you love them no matter what, unconditionally, and they constantly hear that from you, it's going to help you and it's going to help them going forward.
That's good. Thanks, Charles.
Hey, Michelle.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Andy.
I just want to add one thing to that, and I think that is, we forget that God has entrusted our children to us sometimes, and He puts us in the situations that we're in on purpose. There's a plan, right? And so I think that as parents, one of the things I've learned is that I give myself too much credit for attempting to do everything the right way and do everything the right way all the time. And I want to have everything perfect for my daughter. I want to be a great mom. I would love for her to have an amazing male role model in her life. And I would love for things to be perfect, but they're not, right? And so I have to remind myself daily that God is in full control of not just my life, but my daughter's life. And if that is something, I guess my comment would be that, if that is something that God really doesn't feel like you can't handle on your own as a parent, He'll place the right person in your life. But in the meantime, He feels like you're probably doing a pretty awesome job by yourself. And so just keep that at the forefront of your mind, because, just trust Him. We just don't give Him enough. We don't offer our children up to Him enough. They're His children first. And so anyway, just trust Him with being mom, and trust Him with being dad too.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. This is just a comment from LD, and I know who she is, but I'm not going to reveal her. She says, I've been a single mom of 2 boys who are now teenagers for 12 years, and I constantly struggle with the enemy telling me I'm alone, and because of that, my boys will struggle in life. And then bam, Jesus will come in with a sermon, student ministry teachings, and leaders, milestones, classes, songs, and again, with this call. Thank you for sharing. I love learning from you, from all of you. So way to go, you guys. Heath, I have a feeling this might be a question from Heath. It's from Heath and Kelly, but it says, question for any of the panelists, and the Beauvays, I'm gonna have you answer this. What is the element of the old world or pre-corona? What did you think you'd miss, but you don't? And then what do you miss most?
I'll try.
Okay.
So we live in Fair Oaks Ranch, and my office is down on 10 and Heebner, so I do not miss the drive to work or the drive home. That can be really long, or the drive all the way down to 1604 and Redlands Road to the school that the kids go to. So I don't miss any of that at all. But what do I miss most? I don't have an answer for that. Anything you miss most?
No, but I will say, so I get great pleasure out of my son playing basketball, and his season had just started, and it's like, it's just one of those activities that I love watching him. And he was so excited for this season to begin, and he played one game and then whammo. So I would say, I was thinking about it, I'm like, that would be the one thing, just, you know, that activity, watching him engage in that activity, you know, and they'll get a million other chances for this. So it's not like, but at this moment in time, that was something that was an exciting thing that he enjoyed, and I enjoyed seeing him enjoy it.
Yeah, you don't know what you're gonna miss until it's gone. So, well, thanks, you guys. There's some other comments in there that you guys can read through. And Kevin and Tara and Eric and all of you, if you guys want to comment to anything on this chat, feel free to. But I want to, first I want to say that I don't know how many of you went through some tough circumstances back in 2008. My husband and I did, and the one thing, you know, they're two different times, but they were both scary times for my husband and I. And we said the one difference is that the whole country is going through this. You know, in 2008, it was like, well, it was spotty, you know, it was, you know, and I'll tell my family, I'm like, well, you know, the Del Grecos are not going through this alone. The entire country is walking through this. And so parents, if you're still listening, and the parents who, all of the panelists, this is something that we're walking through together. And I hope that the parents that listened, they probably realize that, but we're all walking through this together, and you guys are being prayed for. I want to read a scripture, and then I'm going to close us in prayer. But thanks, you guys, for spending so much time with us tonight. Oh, Amy, I saw you kind of go like that.
It's prayer and scripture are much more important.
No, please.
One of the comments, and I know that they were just teasing, but one of the comments was more yelling. I wrote that down, you know, because I was just being honest. We lost it, but I did want to say the question to which Eric was referring that sort of opened up that conversation that Kaylin, our daughter, was sharing, like, why don't you push me on a swing anymore? Why do you do nothing but work? Why are you always behind a screen? You know, the question was really powerful, and I thought, how simple and yet how awesome for young children to be able to confront their parents in such a non-intimidating way was for us all to have a turn to ask each other around the table, what can I do to support you better? Yeah. It was a game changer. And God gave that to us that night. I mean, so we are grateful.
That's good. I'm writing that down too. I've learned a ton from you guys. Well, I've been praying this for all of our parents at Oak Hills, but I want to just read it over you guys. It's Psalm 121, and most of you probably familiar with it. I said, I lift my eyes up to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, he who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord watches over you. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore. God, thank you again, again for these promises. Lord, they are promises, and you've spoken them, and you're speaking them over our country. You're speaking them over these parents that are listening tonight. God, would you make these promises real in their life? God, would you remind them to cling to you and to cling to your word? God, would you bring people to encourage them, even at the moment they get off of this call? Would you put something or someone in their path that would encourage them and lift their spirits? Lord, thank you for them. We love you so much. In Jesus' name, amen. I want to say one more thing. There's about 20 people left on this. If anybody, any of the parents in here, I'm going to change this so I can see everyone's faces. If anybody in here needs any help with anything whatsoever, with food or even finances or even counseling throughout this time, please reach out to me. Alethea, will you put all of our email, whoever you can think of, emails in the chat? If you need help with anything, please reach out to us. The church has resources that we can help with, and none of us are too high up on any totem pole to ask for help. If you need things delivered to your house and just put it on your doorstep, we can make that happen. Love you guys, and thanks so much for joining us tonight. It was good to see you. Thanks to the panelists. If everybody's at their house, just give everyone a round of applause.
Thank you.
Michelle.
It was fun.
Thank you, Michelle.
Take care.
All right. See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.